you've ever noticed that the work you care about most is the work you struggle the most to start, you're not imagining that. The important project, the thing that could actually move your life forward, the work that really matters. That's the work your brain suddenly resists. Not the small stuff, not the easy tasks, the meaningful work. And the usual explanation people give is laziness or lack of discipline or poor time management. But none of those explanations make sense when you actually care about the work, do they? So what's really happening? What if the resistance you feel isn't a motivation problem at all, but a nervous system response? In this video, I'm going to show you why important work triggers resistance in the brain, why pressure changes how your nervous system experiences work, and why understanding this completely changes how you approach procrastination. Because once you see what's actually happening here, important work stops feeling mysterious and starts feeling manageable again. Here's the strange paradox. The work you care about most often creates the strongest resistance. And that's not accidental. Important work carries things that ordinary work doesn't. Things like expectation, judgment, uncertainty, identity. When a task carries meaning, it also carries risk. You might worry, what if this isn't good enough? What if people judge it? What if I fail? Your nervous system doesn't evaluate those questions logically. It simply detects increased pressure, and pressure changes how the brain behaves. So the more meaningful the work becomes, the more your system starts treating it like a potential threat. Your nervous system has one primary job. It isn't productivity, it isn't achievement, it isn't personal growth. Its job is safety. Your brain constantly scans the environment asking one question: is this safe enough to engage with? If the answer is yes, your system allows focus. It allows creativity, it allows problem solving, it allows sustained effort. But if the answer is uncertain, your system shifts into protection mode, and protection mode changes everything. When pressure increases around work, your nervous system changes how it allocates energy. So instead of supporting exploration and creativity, it prioritizes protection. This is why important work often creates hesitation, mental fog, avoidance, or sudden exhaustion. Your brain is trying to reduce exposure to something it interprets as risky, not dangerous in a physical sense, but dangerous in a psychological one. Threats to identity, to competence, or social standing can activate the same protective system. So resistance appears, not because you don't care, but because you care a lot. Most productivity advice assumes the problem is motivation, so the advice becomes just start. Push through, be disciplined. But if your nervous system is treating the work as unsafe, force doesn't resolve the problem. Force increases pressure, and pressure reinforces the threat signal. So the next time you try to start, your system resists even earlier. This is why people often feel like procrastination gets worse over time. It's not laziness becoming stronger, it's pressure becoming louder. Notice something interesting. Low-stakes tasks rarely trigger resistance. Things like answering simple emails, organising files, doing routine work. These tasks don't carry identity pressure. They don't carry risk. They don't threaten how you see yourself. So your nervous system allows easy engagement. Important work is very different. It contains uncertainty, and uncertainty activates protection. Important work often touches our identity. It raises questions like, what if I'm not as capable as I think? What if this exposes something about me? Your nervous system interprets these possibilities as social threats, and historically, social threats mattered for survival. So your system becomes cautious. That caution shows up as procrastination, not because you don't want the result, but because your system is trying to protect you from perceived risk. So once resistance appears, most people respond by increasing pressure. They tell themselves, you've got to do this, you're falling behind, you're wasting time. But pressure doesn't create safety, it removes it. So the nervous system tightens further, and now the work carries even more emotional load. This is how procrastination becomes a loop. Avoidance creates guilt, guilt creates pressure, pressure increases resistance, and the work becomes heavier every time you return to it. The solution isn't pushing harder, it's restoring safety. When the nervous system feels safe enough, focus returns naturally, creativity returns, energy returns. This is why small, low-pressure entry points are so powerful. Instead of asking, how do I finish this? Ask, what's the smallest safe interaction with this work? Maybe that's opening the document. Maybe that's reviewing one section. Maybe it's playing with one idea. When the nervous system realizes nothing catastrophic happens, resistance begins to soften. Momentum builds from safety, not force. Once you see procrastination through this lens, everything changes. So instead of asking, what's wrong with me? You start asking, what pressure is my system responding to? And that question opens a very different path forward, because pressure can be reduced, expectations can be softened, tasks can be reframed, safety can be restored. The goal isn't to eliminate resistance forever. The goal is to create conditions where engagement becomes easier, where work doesn't constantly trigger protection, where momentum feels calm instead of frantic. That's what sustainable productivity actually looks like. Not endless discipline, but a nervous system that feels safe enough to participate. If this video helped you understand why important work triggers resistance, the next video I recommend watching is called Why Work Suddenly Feels Harder to Start, Not Laziness. It links how pressure changes the way your brain experiences work. So I've linked that on screen now. You can also explore the full playlist on pressure, stress and the nervous system, which breaks down how these patterns develop and how to unwind them. And if you want a structured system for applying these ideas, watch the video You're Not Lazy, You're Overwhelmed, Here's the Difference, also linked on the screen. Finally, if this video helped you see procrastination differently, please subscribe to the channel, because on this channel we look at productivity through a different lens. Not pressure, not hustle, understanding how the brain actually works and building momentum from there.